difference between fabrications of your own mind and what has roots in reality. There has to be a method. I call that method a scientific method. It can be applied to the outside world, it can be applied to the inner world. Right? Is it also scientific to observe the machinery of your own mind and see what are its internal workings? For example, that your real motivations are not determined by your conscious mind, but the unconscious. That's a scientific fact, isn't it? And this can be known if you just meditate. There's a science to internalize it. The meaning of science is the way that I use it is much more wider and diverse than most people. So hypothesis, but then you have to experiment. You have to verify things, whether it's actually true or not. And that's where philosophy fails. The need to experiment is not important at all. With philosophy alone, you can be way off track and you will never know. That's why science takes the extra step. Experiment, verify. Don't just believe the stories of your mind. But when you become a philosopher in the sense that I'm speaking about, I'm not talking about someone who's a thinker of truth. I mean the original meaning. Philo and sophia. Sophia means, it's the Greek word for wisdom, and philo is love. So a passion for wisdom, a passion for truth. And that has to be felt deeply within your own heart. It's like a haunting. It haunts you. You can't forget about it. It rips you up inside. It's like you want to know the mysteries at all costs. And then you become a real philosopher. Everybody would become one if they weren't trapped in the same earthly cycles. If their intelligence was allowed to evolve in time steadily, without being so preoccupied by the outside world. Do you think it's a coincidence when people, let's say they go and they're in a retreat in the mountains somewhere, or if they're surrounded by nature, if you put them in this environment for long enough, in all chances, and for a large number of people, they start questioning things. They look at the stars and they think, oh, what exists out there? Where's my place in the universe? Right? Everybody must have had an experience like that, but it's usually in times when you're less preoccupied by the society and you're more connected with whatever is happening to life in the present moment. One fantastic way to do that is to be surrounded by nature. Because your mind and body are not operating separately from the cycles of the nature. Right? This is a solar-powered body. The cycles of the day and the night, even though your intellect doesn't know when it's night and day, your body does. Yeah. I told you the example of the scientist who was living in the cave for a while, collaborating with other scientists. He had no clue in the darkness of the caves when is night and when is day, but they measured the activity of his body and they found he woke up during the day, he slept during the night. The cycle still persisted. So think, when you live in a natural environment for long enough, you tend to become more synchronized with the ways of nature. What changes does that have in your mind? Your mentality starts to become more synchronized with nature, right? And then, aren't you bound to ask certain questions? Deeper questions, right? Mm-hmm. And all that is being killed because we live in a society with a corrupt structure. Capitalism, just work and work and work and make money. What a waste of a life. So, if there's anything I want you to get out of this conversation, take time, seriously sit down and think, what are you seeking? What do you want? What do you really want in this life? Not what you think you want. What you really want and what you think you want may not be the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, sometimes it's extremely beneficial to look at your memories. Think of the storehouse of your memories as like a library bank with so many books, with so many chapters, so many examples, right?
Yeah.
You can refer to all, you can derive a lot of useful knowledge from that. Think of the times when you've been the most happy in your life. Maybe it was in childhood. I don't know. If it was in childhood, look at the qualities that were there. More innocent, less burdened by past knowledge, more spontaneous, living life in the present moment. And because of your ignorance, things seem to radiate with a much greater mystery. And you are somewhat awake about that mystery, but not awake in the way that a sage would be awake of it, right? In a very What does Jesus say in the Bible? Unless you become like children again, you can't enter the kingdom of God. So think of some of the qualities of a child. Fresh mind, spontaneity, curiosity, and when you're consumed by curiosity, you are a seeker. So the times when you were happiest in your life, you were awake to the mysteries. Or think later in time, when you think of moments when you're really immersed in the present moment. There was a greater sense of inner awareness that was there. You have to be convinced, Richard, that inner awareness is the only answer when it comes to solving this ancient problem of what will bring real, enduring freedom and peace of mind. I don't want to glorify peace of mind, but people are seeking it. So you cannot have doubt about that. It's not in the society, it's not in money, it's not in social status, it's not in relationship, it's not in pleasures of the senses. It's in seeing the real nature of your own awareness. Because then when you're connected like that, it's like you're perfectly aligned. And there's no inner contradiction in you. It's a kind of hypocrisy to be aware and not with a knowledge of your nature.